Rule number 8 is about Hamzatul Wasl. Hamzatul Wasl. Hamza, Alif is also called Hamza in Arabic in many ways. And Alif or Hamza make the same sound. Sometimes they're used interchangeably as well. The concept of Hamzatul Wasl is that if an Alif has this symbol on it, this round and squiggly symbol, then that Alif should be skipped and letter before it and after it should be joined. So if Alif has this symbol on it, then the letter before it and after it should be joined and that Alif should be skipped. In your white book, page 83 discusses this concept and discusses it in a lot of detail with many exceptions and everything. So the main concept is about skipping this Alif and joining with the previous letters, previous and the letter after. This is why it is called Hamzatul Wasl or Hamza of Wasl, joining. Wasl literally means joining. So let's take a look at an example. This concept applies within a word or between two words as well. So for example, we have this word, bil akhirati, bil akhirati. And this alif is joining with the ba. Now notice that if this alif has this symbol on it, it means that this alif should be skipped and this b should be joined with lam, making it as bil, as if this alif doesn't even exist. It becomes bil, bil akhirati, bil akhirati. So anytime you will see alif with this symbol on it, that alif should be skipped. Let's look at an example. Look at an example between the words. Wa huwa as-sami, sami'un. Wherever you will see this in Quran, you will see this symbol on it. And as I said, page 83 has a lot of good examples on this, but this is one of the examples. This alif has this symbol, which means we cannot say this alif. So now this huwa will have to join with this lam. So it becomes huwal, 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 huwal. We are skipping this alif as if it doesn't exist. And the role of this alif is that it should join the previous letter waw with the next letter lam. Although these are two different words. Huwa is a different word and samiya, as-samiya was a different word. But it is ending up joining them. Huwal, 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 sami'un, huwal, sami'un. So that's how the concept of Hamzatul Wasl works. Now, just so you know, just so you know, again, alif will always remain there with this symbol. That word or this word, in both cases. This alif with this symbol within a word or this alif with this symbol between two words. In either way, this symbol tells us that this is Hamzatul Wasl, and Wasl means joining. So this is the Hamza or Alif which will join the previous letter with the next letter. Previous letter with the next letter. And the Alif itself will be ignored. Alif itself should be skipped. So this becomes Huwal, and this becomes Bil. Huwal Bil. As if this Alif doesn't exist. So you skip Alif, you skip this Alif, and you join letter before Alif with letter after Alif. Again, page 83 of the white book has a lot of examples. Important concept here is that if Alif has this squiggly symbol on it, letter before it should be joined with letter after it. Letter before it should be joined with the letter after it. This word would be read as bil akhirati. Bil, as if this Alif doesn't exist. Akhirati. This one becomes huwal. Huwal, as if this Alif doesn't exist. Huwal, and then huwal sami'un. Huwal sami'un. Now this word has another rule which is being applied, and you learned that rule before, rule number 6. This word has rule number 6 being applied as well, that as soon as you get to huwal, Hamzatul Wasl's job is done. That is one rule. But now lam has a sukoon and the letter after it has a shadda. From rule 6 we know that if a letter has a shadda and letter before it has a sukoon, we cannot say this letter either. So this becomes huwal, and instead of huwal it becomes huwassami'un. But that is because of two rules, rule number 8 and rule number 6. If you just apply rule number 8 on these words, this becomes huwal and this becomes bil. Huwal bil. Please go through page 83 to see many more examples for this particular rule. We will now move to the rule number 9, which talks about the little letters which show up on a word. So rule number 9, it talks about little letters. This is from your green book, page number 58, 59 and 60. Rule number 9 tells us of something very specific. So if you look at page number 58 in your book, it tells you the rule on the top. It says lesson 14 on it, and so let me put that down. Lesson 14. There are 3 rules in this lesson which we will be going over. The rule number 1 is that if noon with sukoon or tanween comes before ba, then it is pronounced as a meme. And that little meme is shown on the word. So notice here, Rasulun, you notice the tanween, or noon with sukoon, such as noon with sukoon comes off before ba. Please note that in each of these words, if you go by the rule on this page, page number 58 on lesson 14, you will notice a little meme shown. Little meme shown on the letter with tanween or letter with noon. So the rule says that if tanween or noon with sukoon comes before a letter with ba, then that tanween or that noon is read as a meme. In Quran, you will always see a little meme there. So as you see, both of these words have a little meme. This little meme is to help you and let you know that I should be read as meme and not as noon. So for example, usually the word Rasul with tanween would be read as Rasulun, Rasulun, Rasulun. But if there's a ba after it, you hear that Rasulun has a little noon with sukoon in it. You cannot see it, but it is hidden there. So Rasulun, and because of ba, it should be pronounced as Rasulum, not lun. It should be lum, not lun with the noon. It should be lum. So it becomes Rasulum bema, Rasulum, the meme sound, bema. In Quran, you will always see this meme. And as soon as you see this meme, you should know that the noon sound should be changed to meme sound. So this becomes Rasulum bema. Quran helps you by putting the meme. This becomes, instead of an ba'ahum, it becomes meme sound. Ba'ahum. Ba'ahum. Again, this becomes Rasulum bima. This becomes ba'ahum. Noon sound is totally cancelled. No noon sound. And as soon as you see this little meme, that means no noon sound. This particular rule, you have the audio file for this, so you can listen to rest of the page and the exercise page as needed on page number 60. But it would be a good idea if you can go through this, go through the whole recording of the page. So that is with the little meme. Now let's go to another small letter, and that is called the rule of Noon Qutni. Noon Qutni is a little noon literally showing as the letter Noon between two words. And this again in Quran you will see them like this. So you have this word and then you have this word. And you will notice a little noon in between with the kasra. This rule is on page number 59 of lesson 14 in your green book. Whenever this happens, there are a lot of words here like that, and you'll practice reading them. You will see the little noon with kasra. The rule is mentioned that the small alphabet noon in between two alphabets is joined with the alphabet coming next to noon. Alphabet coming next to noon. So this word would be nuhu, but then this noon should be joined with this alif. So this becomes nib, nibnahu, nibnahu, nuhu, nibnahu, nuhu, nibnahu, nuhu, nibnahu. So this noon should join with the next letter. In Quran again, whenever you will see this noon, it will be shown as a little quiet, cute noon with a kasra, and it should join with the next letter coming after it. As a result, again, you have the audio file for this page, but whenever this rule will come, you will always have to join the noon with the next letter. Rule is pretty clear. You can try with the audio file, but the words which are so whenever this rule comes, you will have to join the noon with the next letter. This becomes nuhu nibnahu, nuhu nibnahu, qadiru nilladhi, qadiru nilladhi. You will notice that usually the letter which comes after Noon Qutni, will be alif. And so this noon will be working with that alif and most probably totally ignoring that alif. So this rule is fairly simple from that point of view. The third important rule about these little letters is on page number. Page 60 is just the practice of the two rules, the little meme and the noon qutni. Page 62 talks that if in a word you have a letter Sod, for example here, Yab, Sub, Sod sound, but if that little Sod comes with Seen, this rule is very simple. It has a little Seen on it. It means you can read that Sod as Seen. It doesn't matter. You can read it as Sod or you can read it as Seen. Both will be okay. But the idea is to just let the reader know that if you see that letter Seen on the Sod, you can read that letter as Seen. This is lesson 15 on page 62, and really that's all what it is to this lesson. If you see a little Seen on the Sod, you can pronounce that Sod as Seen. Again, there is an audio page associated with this one, so you can inshallah practice that audio page and learn this rule from there. Now I will move to the rule number 10, which is about Ta Marbuta. It is on page 61 of your green book, and it's a very simple rule, but yet it takes some practice. The Ta Marbuta is your letter Ha, which you learned from Arabic 1, but with 2 dots. And 2 dots are there for a specific reason. And the rule is that when you're reading Quran and you come across a word which has Ta Marbuta at the end, I will use the end form here. And you have to stop at this word because either because of the recitation rule or your breath is breaking and you want to take a little break. So the rule says that if you stop at Ta Marbuta, Ta Marbuta, let me fix this. This is rule number 10, which is about Ta Marbuta. So the rule says that if you stop at Ta Marbuta, then it should be pronounced as Ha, the simple letter Ha, which we learned in Arabic 1, should be pronounced as Ha. So if you're reading Quran and you come to the word Madina and you have to stop here, it will be read as Madina, 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 Madina. It is the last letter and it is pronounced as Ha. But if you don't stop, then you need to read it as Ta. Then read it as Ta, letter Ta. And there are many examples of this in Quran. You will come across it a lot. So you need to be really careful about this rule. So let's say, just as an example, هذا من, pretty bad pen, هذا من Madinah. If you have to stop here, Madinah. But if you continue, and let's say that you had Tanween here, if you have to stop, it will become هذا من Madinah, because you have to stop here. But if you don't stop, then you should read it as a Ta and continue. هذا من مدينة, so on and so forth. You've already learned the rule of Ta Marbuta, so Tanween, so you know how this should be, how the Tanween is read. Again, if you have to stop at Ta Marbuta, then it should be pronounced as Ha. If you do not stop, then read it as Ta and then apply harakat, apply reading rules. So if you did a tanween, then you should read it as Madinatun. هذا من مدينة. هذا من مدينة. But if you stop, it would be هذا من مدينة. هذا من مدينة. If you continue and there's something after this, هذا من مدينة, and so on and so forth. So hopefully the rule is fairly straightforward and you will be able to work on it. With this, all 10 rules have been completed for you, and you have a video now to look at and practice this. The important part would be that you you use these videos to refresh, not to learn these rules necessarily, but to refresh your mind. And then there will be 2 more videos coming up which will talk about a specific application of some of these rules or exceptions to these rules. I have recorded those videos separately so that the rules video are simple, straightforward, easy for you to catch up, and the exceptions are separate videos. Thank you.